Are you a businesswoman who is finding it challenging to get your ideas across and make a point? Welcome to Speakers Who Get Results with Elizabeth Bachman, a podcast dedicated to helping women get the visibility they want, whether making a speech or talking in a meeting. Every week, get valuable lessons from Elizabeth or learn from her roundtable conversations with experts and speakers on how to make a difference, not just a point. On to the show with your host, Elizabeth Bachman.
Hello, and welcome to the weekly broadcast of Strategic Speaking for Results, and also the podcast Speakers Who Get Results. I'm so happy today because my guest is the wonderful Kimi Avary. Hi, Kimi, welcome.
Hi, Elizabeth. It's so great to be here with you. I always love talking with you. We share so many similar values, and our intention is to help women thrive and speakers thrive and people just get along. So
men and women, exactly.
Men and women.
Exactly. So the reason I really wanted to interview you, I was bugging you till I could get you online here, is because I use your work a great deal when I work with my clients. So let me tell you just a little bit about the official bio for Kimi Avary. She's a speaker, author, and coach. She works with men and women who have challenges relating to each other, both personally and professionally. She's been coaching for over 21 years and working with men and women to help them save their relationships, personal and professional, since 2006. As a certified NLP master practitioner, Kimi helps her clients bridge the gap between our thoughts, language, and behavior to achieve greater success. She's got a master's in counseling and a bachelor's in family studies and human development, which provide her with a foundation to help men and women navigate and create the harmony that they really want professionally. She's also the creator of the Super Genius Teams program and the Voraciously Curious 2-day workshop. She's a best-selling author. Congratulations. She's featured in the Grandmother Legacies book, and her upcoming book, Relationship Navigation, has been endorsed by Dr. John Gray of the Mars Venus book series. So, Kimi, the reason I wanted to ask you about this is because you were saying the other day something really important about how we can listen to each other. And if we know how the other person is hardwired, let me say, so our communications are hardwired, how can we know what to ask for, how to ask in a way that the other person will actually hear us?
Well, there are two pieces there. Number one, typically, so I describe it, there's the masculine, which is the provider, protector, producer energy. That could be a man or a woman. Mm-hmm. You've got the feminine, the supporter, adapter, enhancer energy, man or woman. Either way, they're two sides of the same coin and they support each other. You can't have a leader without supporters. There's no successful leader who doesn't have any supporters, right?
Right.
And their supporters like to have leaders to follow, to do their job, right? So that's an important distinction. So the masculine is really single focused. And when they're single focused and the feminine asks a question or makes a request or gives information, sometimes we're always interrupting that masculine energy, number one. And sometimes they don't remember what we said, which means then we take it personally. And
we as women. Yes.
We as women, or somebody in the masculine, or a man who's in feminine mode, or in this mode, it's not about gender. It's about styles of being, modes of being.
Okay.
And so this person will get their feelings hurt, think the person doesn't care about them, respect them, or if it's a romantic relationship, love them enough to do the right thing because I talked to you about it. But this person may recollect it, may not, may have a focus on something else at the time. So while they might register, oh yes, that's important, it's not part of the plan at the moment. So, but they don't communicate that to the other person. So this person ends up walking away. The next time this person approaches the person who's hurt, they have no idea why that person's being nasty to them, upset, cranky. Those are all nice words to say what people really think,
yes, yeah.
which is not always very pleasant. And so then they back away. So then the conversation never happens. And so that's the foundation of how the disaster starts.
Well, let's just call it the masculine and feminine. I know you say the individualistic and the relational as well.
Yeah.
Basically, are you motivated by going in one direction and doing one thing, or are you paying attention to all the things around you?
Right.
And it's majority masculine or feminine. So I think we should probably say that to make it clear today. Let me ask you then, if you're a person who is trying to figure out how to ask, that's really right. The thing that I've been using a lot to help my female clients is if they say, nobody ever listens to me, it might be because of the way they are asking.
Absolutely.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the assumptions that people in feminine mode make, and so when they ask, they're not being heard? Talk a little bit about how that works.
Well, the first key is what I was just describing, which is the timing. If your timing's off, you're going to have trouble. I call it the respect factor. This is the key piece. You've got to notice if this person's in a single focus mode. If that masculine person, whoever's in the single focus mode, is in that mode, you've got to recognize that you will be interrupting them. And so the first thing you do is say, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got something important I need to talk to you about the plan you're working on, or something important to me that it will take 5 minutes, it'll take half an hour, whatever that is. You've got to recognize that you're interrupting. That's the key. And then you ask for that time to talk. Now, they may not be able to talk right then. They may have to say, you know what, I can talk to you tomorrow. Or my husband's working on a kitchen project. When that project's over, we can talk about a vacation. We can't talk about it right now. It's just off the table for lots of reasons, but mostly because my husband's like a pit bull with a bone when he's on a project. It's like you can't get him to do anything else except for focus on that, which is great because he gets stuff done. On the other hand, if I've got something that I need, it's hard to interrupt. It's hard to get his attention. So I have to say, I need to talk. When would be a good time? Don't worry, you're not in trouble. I'm not upset. It's just really important to me. When would be a good time? And then we wait until talk time comes. And that's the next critical piece. So
you mean wait? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So when women talk with each other, we just talk. We go back and forth. There's no pausing. There's no waiting. We might think about something really fast, but then we come up with an answer. It's not that way with men. And if we expect them to answer right away, or we expect them, if we say there's something I need to talk to you about, I need half an hour of your time. And then he says, I can talk to you at 5 p.m. tonight. And we start the conversation right then at noon, and it's not 5 o'clock, you're going to get a very, very cranky person talking to you. And they're going to be irritated and frustrated. And then you're going to feel like they don't care. And so this pausing and waiting until that talk time comes is critical because it feels like respect. It feels like you're honoring them.
Yes, I think that's great. And as I certainly have found myself doing that. If you are a single focus person, a person who's in masculine mode, how can you honor the person who's in the supportive mode, but also tell them how to approach you? I'm assuming that people who are single focused can't just bounce into the multi-focus mode.
It's very difficult. In fact, the single focus comes from the levels of testosterone in your system or from our adrenal glands, which is one reason why women get adrenal burnout. So it's a gargantuan task to get most women to be able to truly single focus, right? It's not in our hardwiring. With that said, if we want to get there, if you are in masculine mode and you've got somebody in your team who needs your attention and you can't talk right then, or they interrupt you all the time, or I'll just leave those two there. Those are pretty big.
Yeah.
What you can say is, I'm really single focused. I really do care about what you have to say. It would be really helpful if you could make an appointment with me. And if it's really important, I can drop everything, but let me know that. And like the house is burning down. We need to do it right now. Okay, let me know that. No problem. But when you interrupt me regularly, I don't get what I need to get done. So it doesn't work for me. And I do want to support you. My brother and sister-in-law worked it out where she was the person out providing for the family. And she would give him, or she would call him and give him this sort of honey to-do list throughout the day. And Eric said, no. You write me a list in the morning of everything you want done. So he could do it sequentially. And one result, then the next. And he was a perfectly good stay-at-home father and house maintainer, right? But the dropping it in throughout the day did not work for them. So she wrote the list in the morning, and only if it was really urgent did she get to add something to that list.
Right. Okay. So if we are, let's talk a little bit about the resentment and sort of the mind reading or expecting mind reading, because I heard you say something about that the other day and I went, bingo. Yes, exactly. I assume that since I've said it, they're going to understand, and then they ignore me. It means they don't care.
Yeah. So the foundation of this is the critical piece. Women typically look at men as hairier, misbehaving versions of ourselves.
Okay.
Who are either doing things we would never do or not doing the things we would do. And we're upset. So we're kind of chronically upset, which is why my work is considered the cheapest facelift in town.
Yes.
On the flip side, the masculine looks at the feminine as kind of smaller, emotionally indulgent versions of themselves who can't get to the point to save their lives. Because women can be verbose. Now, we often talk about our problems, what's not working, what needs to be fixed, but we're not really offering a solution. Instead of cutting out all the junk of what's not working and why we're upset, we can say, I need to leave work at 5 p.m. I have a family at home. I need to leave work at 5 p.m. I need to get all my assignments by 7 a.m. so I can get everything done that needs to be done during the day. Without, oh my gosh, I'm late for the babysitter and my husband's mad, or whatever the situation is. without all that garbage, and it kind of is garbage, and I don't mean to be insulting, but when we're upset, it feels like it is the everything to us. And then we make decisions based on that. And this is one reason why companies lose women. I was brought into Shell Oil because they had just lost a female engineer that they had spent a fortune finding, hiring, training, and after 4 years she had left. And she left because she couldn't work with all the men. And it wasn't that she couldn't work with the men, it was that she had no idea how to navigate working with men in a way that worked. And they had no idea how to support her in the workplace. And so that upset, she left before she said, hey, the boss's name was David. Hey, David, there's something I need to talk to you about. I don't feel respected, and I need to feel respected, and I need to, they didn't have the tools. So she wasn't able to express it except in the upset, and then she left.
Now that's another point that I was on my list of things to ask you about is I've just recently had a conversation with a client who had things go against her in a negotiation. She didn't get what she wanted, and she loves the company. She loves her job, but she doesn't, when she asked her what she needed, she didn't feel heard. And so she was emotionally upset and ready to walk away. Talk about that phenomenon where the whole bit of it's not personal, it's not business, as Tom Hanks said in You've Got Mail. How we can be trapped by that? How can we try to not get caught by that trap?
It's tricky because as the feminine, we have this special organ right here called our feelings. Mm-hmm. And we act on our feelings. We feel something deeply, and then we typically will act on it. Mm-hmm. And often those feelings have compounded over a large period of time. So much so that it's hard not to respond to them. The masculine energy feels things deeply and then thinks about the right thing to do and then acts on it. So that's sort of the two different ways of handling it. So the masculine will say, you're being too emotional. And we're like, it is just all consuming, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you manage that? Number one, you've got to make sure you're doing good self-care. You've got to take care of yourself. Meditate in the morning or throughout the day. I've had clients set 2-minute timers on the hour mm-hmm. where they just sit and breathe and just take a mini vacation. You've got to do self-care. And often for women, self-care is at the very bottom of our list. It's got to be done daily. And I wish you could just fix it and it was never a problem again. And that's just not the case. You've got to do it daily. You have to get your sleep. You can't be nice. You can't be reasonable. You can't be what the masculine would call reasonable if you are sleep deprived. It just sounds so simple, but it makes a huge difference. Getting sleep, eating right, all of those things are the precursors that help you navigate those conversations. And then when those conversations come, you can be able to talk about what is important to you. So in that meditation time, you want to, if let's say you're really upset, you want to pause and say, okay, so I want to move back from being furious mm-hmm. to curious. I want to know what's inside here. What's the need underneath there that I need to communicate? And the challenge is that women are notoriously bad about knowing what we need until we are upset without it.
Well, that's because the whole noise of all the emotions on top is mask the getting down to the point, if you will, of what is it that we really need? What would fix this situation?
Yeah. Well, that I would say that that's a huge part of it. All the emotions and all the feelings and all the thoughts and all the thoughts that may be off track.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm assuming my boss doesn't respect me, then I'm going down a path of having hurt feelings about something that may not even be valid.
Mm-hmm.
So the gal who left Shell after the 4 years, she thought the company didn't respect her. They were paying her an enormous amount of money to be there. They absolutely respected her. They wanted her to succeed. It was, I mean, if you really like step back and look at the situation, they would not have hired you in the first place if they did not respect you.
Mm-hmm. So
they're not going to do it. It's not
heard. Then
say that again.
It was more that she didn't feel heard and acknowledged because she was waiting for someone to acknowledge her the way someone in feminine mode would.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you then, just pursuing this, because this is something, I have walked into this trap myself many times. One of the things I found is I know that I am a verbal processor. I know that I figure things out by talking about them. And I know that often the solution will be the third or fourth thing. So when I was running an opera company or directing operas, I used to tell my assistants, I said, talk to me, let's talk things around. I will figure out what I need, but it may be the third or fourth thing. So let's assume that process is there. How about recruiting your allies? So for instance, the person I was speaking to was really upset because the negotiation did not go the way she wanted. And she felt like she was just being treated. They were just focusing on the legal aspects and not focusing on how she felt. How could she have reached out to some of her allies and talked through it before deciding to quit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So she could reach out to women allies. That's pretty good because you can talk through ideas.
Mm-hmm.
If you're negotiating with a man, it
Mm-hmm.
may be helpful to reach out to a male ally.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, so these are all sort of preparing for that negotiation.
Right.
And you could, depending on the relationship or the connection you have with that, your person you're asking for the raise from, you could even ask that person to brainstorm with you. Mm-hmm. So what I would recommend is you say to the person, whoever it is, whatever ally you're working with, mm-hmm. I have something I need to talk over with somebody. I don't have it sorted out in my head, and I need to say everything I've tried before I have any interjections. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is if we're upset, somebody in masculine mode will try and fix it.
Right.
Doesn't feel good because we've tried things and we're like, we've tried that. And then it's irritating instead of helpful. So we set our listener up to win by saying, I've got to run through some ideas. I think this will be a quick conversation. I think this might take 5 minutes. Or mm-hmm. Let's say it's a big problem. You've got this whole work situation and you want to just like unpack all of the upsets and figure out what mm-hmm. you need underneath it. You want to go out and have a cup of coffee because it's going to take an hour or something. Mm-hmm. And then what I need from you, this is the critical piece. What I need from you is just to hold the space and let me get it out. Yes. And then we'll go into problem solving mode. But you're setting your listener up to be able to be successful with you. They want to help. They wouldn't give you their time if they didn't want to help. I mean, we know time is precious.
Yeah,
They're not
right.
going to sit there for an hour if if they don't think you're valuable to listen to. Really, they won't. So giving them the information, I need to be able to talk about all of this and then get your feedback and hear your thoughts. Because then you have all the pieces on the table, and then you have at it. Tell me what you think would be best, or what your perspective is.
I must say that as you're saying this, there's a part of me that says, why do I have to change the way I communicate in order to get what I need?
That's the famous question. I get asked it all the time.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So why do we have to do all the work? That's how it usually shows up. Well, I've read every book on personal development. Why do I have to do this? Well, number one, the men respond to us. They respond to us dramatically. So if we are intense and upset, they go, "Oh, I don't know if I want to talk to you." And if we are a little open and friendly, they're going to be more open to talking to us. They are very sensitive to our emotions. And we can be a little scary when we're upset.
No, just right. I know that. I have scared people. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, thank God I'm not the only one, right? It's every woman I know has these moments of outbursts, and it's not that it's not like we think, oh, I'm going to go be angry. Actually, I did that once, but that's a different story. And where I was going was they respond to us. So if we want a particular outcome and we want to spend time not upset all the time, not cranky, not feeling disrespected or unheard or unvalued, and that whole litany of problems that we feel that we experience in the workplace, if we want to not experience that, it behooves us to do a different skill. And this is a skill set that I didn't know until I was 36. I'm 50, almost 54 now. It literally changed my coaching practice, because all I could see was these relationship dynamics playing out personally and professionally. It was like everywhere. And how I'd see a couple friends of mine who were getting divorced because she was upset. She had things that she needed. He didn't know about them, or her feelings would be hurt. He didn't pick up the hints, and women typically talk in hints. So why do we have to do the work? And why do we have to learn this and get this skill? It's because it works. Out of all the books you've read, all the things you've had, I've studied nonviolent communication. That's great. And a lot of my clients have studied it. But guess what? It doesn't teach the masculine feminine dynamic piece. And without that, you're lost. Right. It just doesn't work, because I need to express myself and my feelings, and he doesn't want to express his feelings, because why trust feelings? I'm going to do what I think is right. Well, the masculine person needs to know how important our feelings are to us, to not discredit them, right?
That was going to be my next question, is if you are someone who's mostly in masculine mode, how can you adapt, or how can you help the people in feminine mode to get what they need from you? Again, as we said earlier, I go back to what you said earlier, just saying, I can't think about that right now. Please talk to me. Could we talk at 5:00? And then you will have all my attention.
Yeah. Well, and ladies, the thing that when the man you need to talk to gives you his attention, it feels like heaven. I mean, it's like, oh my God, he's paying attention. And that's so really using that respect factor will give you that. And if you're in masculine mode and you've got a feminine person upset and you want to help her get what she needs, number one, you could say, I really do want to know what you need. and it looks like you're upset, and I'm guessing you're not completely clear. Number one, can we sit down, and I want you to let's unpack this. Let's try and figure out what it is you need that's underneath there, because I get that you've got some strong emotions happening right now. And if you can toss in, I respect you and I want you to succeed, that's going to go a long way.
Okay.
Just offering that time will be good. And also give her a time limit. You know, my poor brother was in a relationship with a woman who he loved dearly, and she would go on and on and on for hours about how upset she was about this and that. And he dutifully listened.
Right.
But you shouldn't have to do that. That's not okay. I mean, it's not professional. It's not helpful. You know, respecting each other's time will make things go well.
Yes, that's huge. Actually, it makes me think about one of the things that I've been noticing around written communication is that women tend to give the whole backstory and men don't care, or men won't read through the whole backstory to get to the point. So let me end with that one, because that's, if you're sending a message, how much of the backstory of the context should one include?
You write what you need or what's important, and then you say, if you'd like context, let me know.
Okay.
You could, in a written form. So women tend to, if you imagine a triangle, so on the top of the triangle, we tend to give all the details, because as the gatherers of our species, details are life and death. So we need to tell you everything. As the hunter of the species, the masculine, they don't care if Bambi has spots. All they care is they come home with dinner. So just like, I like the visual of that. So here's the feminine on the triangle, and up above it's all the details, and then you go down to get to the point. If you want to communicate with a man, flip that triangle over and start with the point. Get to the point, bullet point it. They call it bullet points. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what it will provide. Easy. And then they'll say, oh, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Okay, then you tell the next layer and the next. But you do not, if you start off with all the details,
you'll put them to sleep.
Well, you'll put them to sleep. And my first thought, what I was thinking, is that you're not going to get the promotion. You're not going to move forward in the way you want to if you feel like you have to give all the details. And I understand that it does feel viscerally like we're going to die if I don't tell you everything.
Right.
But guess what? We're not going to die. We're not going to die.
You sit at home and you write it all out and you save that as the second email, but you don't send it. You send just the email that has the points.
Yeah. Well, and actually, let me add something here that is really important. If you've got 3 things you want to talk to that person about, and you put them all in the same email with all the details, they're going to look at that email, they're going to close it, and they're not going to read it.
Yeah, right.
Why do I know this happens? I know that men do it, but guess what? I do it too. If there's more than one point that I have to address and they go in different directions and different places, it's hard for me to find the time to sort through that email. So send 3 emails if you have 3 points. We're painting the room, or room color. These are the choices. Done. The plan for the drilling rig. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Be short and sweet and make it easy for somebody to read.
Right.
so that they can, and then you can always put the tagline. And like you said, I love your idea of writing the email, write it all out, then bullet point it. And if they want more details, they'll ask you.
Right. But at least you've gotten it off your chest. So
exactly.
Kimi Avary, this has been, I could talk to you for hours. It's wonderful. I will point out that everybody who's listening, I have a wonderful episode with Kimi from my podcast, Speakers Who Get Results. I will put the link. I will share the link with you, where she goes a lot into the theory of the relational mindset and communication style versus the individualist mindset and communication style. There's so much more to know. Kimi, what is the best way to follow up with you?
The best way to follow up with me, here's the link. I will post it. There's actually, okay. And there's a gift, and it's called The Essence of Knowing What You Need and Asking for what you want in a way that works.
Okay.
And that's a free gift, and you go there, it'll tell you what's in it, and then you click through, and there's a video. It's free. It's a gift to you. And if you want to speak with me, there's a calendar link there too that can get you on my calendar.
And for those who are just listening, is there a link you can just tell us?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Kimi Avary, that's Kimi, A, V as in Victor, A as in Apple, RY, .kartra, that's KARTRA.com /page/needs.
Okay. And we will post that. But for those of you who may be listening while you're driving or doing something else, I want to say, Kimi, thank you so much for having been on the broadcast and Speakers Who Get Results. This is going to turn into a podcast episode later, but listen to this first, because it'll be a couple of months till this comes out officially as a podcast.
I was just going to say, it's always so fun talking with you. And the interesting thing is that all of these pieces you can look at all the dynamics and you can find them everywhere.
Oh, yes.
And then you can also find peace, which is what we all want, I think.
Peace, exactly. PEACE, peace, our old friend. Right. Yeah. So I use Kimi's work all the time in my training, in my counseling, my consultancy. Kimi, thank you so much. I'll be posting all sorts of links in the notes. And for those of you who are interested, if you're curious about how your speaking skills are going, you can check out our 4-minute quiz at speakforresultsquiz.com. Kimi, thank you, Avary. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you all on the next one.
We have just concluded another great episode of Speakers Who Get Results with your host, Elizabeth Bachman. If you got value from today's episode, please feel free to share us with your friends and colleagues. You may also visit elizabethbachman.com for additional resources. Be sure to tune in every week for new episodes, and thanks for tuning in.